Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Tina's Leg. Today I'm going to share with you the story of how I met my husband, Mike. I actually met my husband when I was 13 and he was 15 years old. I was in 7th grade and he was in 9th grade at the time. We met in our church youth group. My family had just changed churches, and at the time I actually didn't want to change churches because all my friends were at the church we were at before, and my parents had gone to visit this other church and really loved it. And so my mom came up to me and said, you might want to consider coming to visit and give that church a try, because I saw a really cute boy. You should go check it out. And unbeknownst to me or him, he ended up becoming my husband. The story about how we got together, though, is pretty cute, and it does involve my leg, ironically. At the time, my husband was actually dating another girl, and I liked him. I thought he was cute, but I did know he was older, and I didn't really think that he was interested in me. And then he eventually broke up with that other girl. We had gone on a skiing trip with our youth group. We went up north to Flagstaff for the weekend to ski. Now, I do not ski. However, I do not like missing out on social events. So I went, and I just thought I would hang out at the cabin, have fun, and there was a couple other people who were going that couldn't ski either. So I just went to play in the snow. I went to have fun with my friends. My husband did go on the trip to ski though, and we had gone up on a Friday night. They spent all day Saturday skiing, and then we came back on Sunday. Well, Saturday night, after they had come back skiing, we all gathered back for dinner and had s'mores by the fire and all of that fun stuff. Well, later that night, I was playing games in the kitchen with a bunch of other kids. Mike, sitting out on the couch by the fireplace, just resting because he was exhausted from his day of skiing. Well, I had left my leg resting by the couch. I'm not sure exactly why, except when I was a teenager, I took my leg off all the time and left it places. It didn't bother me as much to walk around without my leg then, because I was young, and only since I've gotten older does it affect my hips and my back if I walk a lot without my leg. And the reason is, actually watch my first video if you want to see me without my leg and see what that's like, but I do have a 3-inch limp when I take my leg off, and so when I walk around, I'm walking like this, and eventually that totally wears down your hips and my back, and I'm in a lot of pain now that I'm older. But when I was a kid and a teenager, I took my leg off all the time. Arizona's hot, so I would take my leg off. Like if I was inside somebody's house and we were just watching TV or playing games or something, I would always take my leg off. I wouldn't even think twice about it. So on this retreat, I had my leg off and it was just chilling by the sofa. Apparently Mike was curious about my leg, but he never had the guts to ask me about it. I think he was embarrassed. So this was his opportunity. He was alone in the family room and it was just him and my leg. So he picked up my leg and was looking at it, and he was super curious, so he was looking inside, and for some reason I think I wanted to go put my leg on. So I went into the living room to get my leg. When I walked in, Mike was holding my leg, and I scared him, and he shook and he dropped my leg on the hardwood floor, and it made this loud cracking sound. I just stood and looked at him and started laughing, and he turned beet red, and he was so embarrassed and felt so bad that he was looking at my leg, that he dropped my leg. Anyway, it was kind of funny, but he then picked up my leg and handed it to me, and we locked eyes. My heart melted. For me, I think it was pretty much love at first sight with Mike. I had liked him for years, and Finally, we started dating when I was 15. But that ski retreat was the retreat that actually brought us together. And ironically, my leg had a part to play in that. Mike and I dated on and off throughout high school. As a kid, I really struggled with thinking that I would ever find a husband, that somebody would ever want to marry me because of my hand and missing my foot. So there was nights I would just cry myself to sleep when I was younger, and especially like junior high age. God, junior high is so tough. But I would cry myself to sleep, and my mom, she would come in and she would of course encourage me and tell me that God would have somebody just for me and that I was definitely worth loving and that God would bring that person along for me in my life. In junior high and high school, I really overcompensated for the fact that I didn't have a hand and foot. I would get up like 2 hours before I was supposed to be at school just so that I could do my hair and my makeup. I wanted my hair and makeup perfect. Now, I grew up in the 80s, and so I had 3-inch bangs that literally wouldn't have moved in a tornado because we used so much hairspray. I wore shorts a lot and short skirts a lot, so my leg was usually one of the first things that people noticed about me. And so in my mind, my thought process was, I don't want my leg to be the first thing that people notice about me. So that's why I figured if I looked good, people would notice my hair or my makeup or my cute clothes over my hand and my artificial leg. And so that was my thinking throughout all of high school. But I would get perms in high school so that I could have curly hair. And I will say, even though I had a perm, I would still get up and then curl it, and it just had to be perfect. I would tease my bangs. And then I loved fashion. Oh my gosh. And my mom was a shopper, which is where I get it from. I do come by it honestly. But my mom loved to shop and she loved clothes. And so she would take me shopping on the weekends. I had the cutest outfits growing up in high school. I made sure that I always was dressed super cute. Everything was coordinating. Cute clothes for me over the years have kind of been a security blanket, would be a good way to put it. Because I figure if I look cute and I'm wearing cute clothes, then who cares if people notice my hand and foot? Which we all kind of have our own thing. I was competing with girls that had all their body parts. I was just trying to survive high school. I was not popular, but I also wasn't like a severe nerd either. I kind of just landed in the middle, and all of my friends were so amazing. God just brought me the best friends when I was in junior high and high school. Actually, throughout my whole life, I just have amazing friends. Friends are super crucial to, I think, how you end up turning out in life. I have just really encouraged my kids to, no matter what, find really good friends. Friends that have the same beliefs as you, friends that have the same morals as you, and who you feel like you can truly be yourself around. And they never, ever, ever made me feel less than. I never felt less than. I never felt inadequate. And I never felt like I was an outcast by any stretch of the imagination. And that's so important, especially when you are different. I've shared in a couple of my earlier videos about how I had to really embrace being unique and embrace being different. I had to really get over the fear of what other people thought of me. And I had to be comfortable in my own skin and love myself. We have 3 kids, and it's girl, boy, girl. Our oldest daughter is 24, and our son is 23, and then our youngest daughter is 16. So she's still in high school. And can I just say, that both my oldest and my youngest daughter would roll out of bed like 15-20 minutes. Now my youngest daughter does get up early and likes to get ready in the morning, and she needs time to wake up, but they both will just throw their hair up or back and not put any makeup on and wear really comfy clothes to school, like sweatpants and oversized t-shirts. High school was nothing like what it was when I grew up. I felt like it was like a model runway when I was in high school, and you had to look your very best before going to school. And now everybody's just so much more accepting of each other, and it's much more relaxed and laid back. And I really appreciate and I love that for my kids, because there isn't the pressure on having to look perfect and all of that as much in our society anymore. At least that's how it seems to be. And I'm super grateful for Mike, for my husband. Now, we met when I was 13. We started dating when I was 15, but during our dating years, they were very rocky. We would break up, get back together, break up, get back together, break up, get back together. I don't know how many times we broke up and got back together, and I think it's because we were just pretty serious early on as far as talking about marriage and things like that. It was wonderful on one hand, and on the other hand, it was like, wow, I'm like 16 and we're already talking about marriage, and I haven't even finished high school. So there was just a lot of emotion. So when we would break up, our church was not a big church, maybe 150 people. So the youth group was pretty small. Everybody knew each other. We were all friends or enemies because when you had couples in such a small youth group, if you guys broke up, then people would choose one or the other. Well, Mike then would start dating some of the other girls in the youth group, so then I felt like I couldn't even go to our youth group, and it was hard. So he would date some of my friends, so in turn I ended up dating some of his, or I would just bring boys to church from school and we would sit behind him in church. I was so terrible. But he would be sitting with one of my best friends, so I don't think I was that terrible. It was like, if we weren't together, we hated each other. And if we were together, we were madly in love and gonna get married. So that was it was just super rocky throughout all of high school. And I had gone off to U of A to go to school, and he had actually gone to California for a year. And I met a friend in Tucson who, her brother was going to the school that my husband was at in California. And so I bummed a ride one weekend with her to go visit her brother, and I kind of showed up unexpectedly. I found out where Mike was staying, and at this point I'm 18, and I just had to know in my heart, I'm like, we had been apart for about 6 months, and everybody else I dated, I would always compare to him, and I knew he was the one that I was supposed to marry. So I knocked on the door, and he opened it and was like, oh my gosh, what are you doing here? And it was kind of like one of those moments of, hey, like, I can't do the roller coaster anymore. Do we love each other? Do we not? Are we in this for the long haul? Are we gonna get married or not? So for me, I just kind of had to have it finalized one way or the other. And so we had a long conversation when I was there that weekend, and then he ended up moving back to Arizona. We got engaged and we got married probably within 6 months. We did get married July 1993, and so we are coming up on our 32nd year anniversary, which is mind-blowing to me. I found the love of my life at 13. Huge desire of my heart was to have a husband and get married and be able to have a family. And God totally provided, and he answered all those prayers for me. I will put some pictures here for you. I'm gonna put a picture of when Mike and I first met. I believe that this picture was taken on an Easter Sunday after church. I was very young in this picture. I think I was 15. I'm gonna show you a couple wedding pictures here. I was a total product of the 80s. Huge sleeves on my wedding dress. I had a giant heart cut out on my chest, and it matched the one in the back. Oh my God. And I wore long sleeves. My dress was a long sleeve dress in July in Arizona. I have no idea what I was thinking, but that was the thing. That was the thing back then. When he met me, I did play the violin at the time, and I ended up playing on my church worship team. Our church had like a balcony seating area, and he was up in the balcony one Sunday sitting, and he said that he saw me on the stage playing my violin, and he said at that moment he knew he was gonna marry me, which is really sweet. It wasn't until about a year later, though, that we ended up going on that ski retreat, which ended up kickstarting our relationship. Even though we got married young, we waited 7 years to have kids. I just totally didn't feel ready to actually be in charge of another human being. And I figured you can never go back to it just being you and your husband. We took advantage of our season before having children, and we did go on some pretty awesome adventures. We actually lived in the Marshall Islands for a year and a half after we got married, and we volunteered to be teachers at a school over there. That was very challenging, very fun, and it really grew us up very quickly, and we learned a lot during that season of our lives. Thanks so much for coming along with me today and finding out how I met my husband and how young I was when I met him. My husband doesn't really enjoy being on camera a whole lot, which is why you haven't seen him on here and I haven't included him a lot. Just, he prefers to kind of be in the background a little bit. And that's okay. I respect that. If you enjoy my content, please don't forget to like and subscribe down below. Please leave comments. I would love to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you so much for watching Tina's Leg, where every day is leg day.